Good morning all. Today's topic is Duncan's identity and Polya's theorem. For that, this is the named identity and theorem. Last year the Duncan's state and prove Duncan's identity is asked. So this is named theorem. So there is a chance to ask these questions. So before going to give the theorem, we have some concepts. First one, Fibonacci numbers. We have 1 1, we know 1 1 2 3 5 8 13 21 34 etc. form a sequence known as Fibonacci sequence, and numbers are called Fibonacci numbers. So we have the recursive definition is first two numbers f0 and first f1 and f2 are 1 and 1, and from thereafter fn is equal to fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2, the sum of previous two numbers. So first number is 1, second number is again 1, third number is first sum of first two numbers 1 plus 1 2, fourth number is sum of first and sum of second and third number. So 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, and like that. Now similar one more number is there, Lucas numbers. The numbers 1, 3, 4, 7, 11, 18 form a sequence known as Lucas sequence, and numbers are called Lucas numbers. So here the definition is it's also similar to Fibonacci numbers, but the initial condition is different. First L1 equal to 1 and L2 is equal to 3, and the recurrence relation is same. Ln is equal to ln minus 1 plus ln minus 2, the sum of two previous numbers. So 1 plus 3 equal to 4, and next number is 3 plus 4 equal to 7, and so on. Next number is Fermat number. So the number is a positive integer is of the form fn is equal to 2 raised to 2 raised to n plus 1, where n is a positive integer is known as Fermat's number. So first for Fermat number is when n equal to 0, 2 raised to 2 raised to 0 plus 1. So 2 raised to 0 is 1, 2 raised to 1 plus 1, 2 raised to 1 is 2, 2 plus 1, 3. Next when n equal to 1, 2 raised to 1 plus 1, 2 raised to 1 is 2, so 2 square plus 1, 2 square is 4, 4 plus 1, 7, 4 plus 1, 5. Now f2, 2 raised to 2 plus 1, 2 raised to 2 is 4, 2 raised to 4 is 16, 16 plus 1, 17. f3 is 2 raised to 3 plus 1, 2 raised to 3 is 8, 2 raised to 8, 256 plus 1, 257. So we have a theorem. Let fn denote the nth Fermat number. Then fn equal to fn minus 1 square minus 2 fn plus 1 plus 2, where n greater than or equal to 1. This theorem we are using in the derivation of Duncan's identity. That's the importance. If n is an integer, then fn is the nth Fermat number. Here n is positive integer, then fn is equal to fn minus 1 square minus 2 fn minus 1 plus 2. Next we have Duncan's identity. Let fi denote the ith Fermat number. Then f0, f1 etc. fn minus 1 is equal to fn minus 2, where n greater than or equal to 1. So this is 0th Fermat number, first Fermat number etc. n minus 1 Fermat number, the product of that numbers is equal to fn minus 2. So we can prove the theorem by the method of induction. So when p of n is equal to, so we can define p of n as f0, f1 etc. fn minus 1 is equal to fn minus 2, where n greater than or equal to 1. For the basic step we have to do for n equal to 1. So we substitute n equal to for first case in fn minus 1 we have up to n minus 1. So f0 in the left side product will be f0 only. So the answer is f0 by definition 2 raised to 0 plus 1, which is equal to 2 raised to 0 is 2 itself, 2 plus 1 3, which is equal to 5 minus 2. 5 is F1. 2 raised to 1, not I, 1. 2 raised to 1 plus 1 minus 2, which is equal to F1 minus 2. Hence, P of 1 is true. Now we have the induction step. Let k be an arbitrary positive integer. We would like to show that P of k implies P of k plus 1. For that, we are assuming that P of k is true. Then the induction hypothesis F0, F1, etc. Fk minus 1 is equal to Fk minus 2. Consider the product F0, F1, etc. Fk minus 1 into Fk, which is equal to F0, F1. We are bracketing that F0, F1 to Fk. So this is into Fk, which is equal to, this is our induction hypothesis up to this bracket term is Fk minus 2 into Fk by induction hypothesis. So by definition Fk is 2 raised to k plus 1 minus 2. Fk is 2 raised to k plus 1. So this is 2 raised to k plus 1 minus 2. Plus 1 minus 2 is minus 1. 2 raised to k minus 1 into 2 raised to k plus 1. So this is a plus b into a minus b form. So this is a square minus b square. So 2 raised to k all square, which is 2 raised to 2 into 2 raised to k, which is equal to 2 raised to k plus 1 minus 1, which is equal to 2 raised to k plus 1 minus 2, which is equal to Fk plus 1 minus 2, which implies P of k plus 1 is true. Thus, if P of k is true, then P of k plus 1 is also true. Hence, by induction, P of n is true for all n greater than or equal to 1. That is, Dungan's identity holds for every positive integer. Now we have Polya's theorem. Let m and n be two distinct non-negative integers, then fm and fn are relatively prime. We know that if two numbers are relatively prime, we have to show that their GCD is equal to 1. So we took let m and n be two distinct prime numbers, assume for convenience m less than n, and take the GCD as D. Let D be the GCD of fm and fn. That means D divides fm and D divides fn. D divides fm means, now we took that m is less than n. So D divides f0, f1, etc., fm, etc., fn minus 1. So by Dungan identity we have this product f0, f1, etc., fn minus 1 is fn minus 2. That therefore D divides this product f0, f1, etc., fn minus 1 implies D divides fn minus 2. So we have D divides fn and D divides fn minus 2, which implies D divides the difference. One more bracket is required, fn minus fn minus 2. So it cancels. So D divides 2. Consequently, that D divides 2 means D must be either 1 or 2. So, but we know that all Fermat numbers are odd numbers. So D cannot be equal to 2. Therefore, D should be equal to 1. Hence, this GCD fm fn is equal to 1, which implies that fm and fn are relatively prime. Now the next concept is we have one more theorem. There is an infinite number of primes. We have already learnt to show that the primes are infinite by taking by contradiction method. Take assume that the primes are finite, p0, p1, p2, etc., pn. Then find the product p0 into p0, p1, etc., pn plus 1. And we are showing that this is a contradiction to our assumption. That method we have already discussed in the class. Now this is another method to show that there is an infinite number of primes. So we have since every number greater than or equal to 2 has a prime factor. So every Fermat number has a prime factor. So it's also a number greater than or equal to 2. So every Fermat number has a prime factor. By Poulia's theorem, any two distinct Fermat numbers are relatively prime. We are already seen that if Fm and n are two integers, then GCD of Fm, Fn are equal to 1. Hence, no two distinct Fermat numbers have common prime factors. So their GCD is 1, so they don't have any common factors other than 1. So which in turn implies that each Fermat number has a distinct prime factor. So each Fermat number, we are not, it's no two distinct Fermat numbers have common prime factors. That means each Fermat number has a distinct prime factor. Therefore, since every prime number, every Fermat numbers are infinite, therefore there are infinitely many prime numbers. Now we have one more concept, pairwise relatively prime. So we already know that relatively prime means the GCD of that two numbers is equal to 1. Here we have some n numbers, a1, a2, etc. an are we tell that they are pairwise relatively prime if every pair of integers is relatively prime. That is ai GCD of ai aj equal to 1 whenever I not equal to j. So for example, 8, 15, 17 and 49 are pairwise relatively prime. GCD of 8, 15 is equal to 1. GCD of 8, 17 is equal to 1. GCD of 8, 49, the pair, is equal to 1. GCD of 15, 17 is equal to 1. GCD of 15, 49 equal to 1. GCD of 17, 49 equal to 1. So all pairs are relatively prime. So they are called pairwise relatively prime. So we know if a1, a2, a3, etc. an are pairwisely relatively prime, then their all GCD is equal to 1. But GCD equal to 1 does not imply that they are pairwise relatively prime. We are giving the example as 6, 10 and 15. We know that GCD of 6, 10 and 15 is equal to 1. But GCD of 6, 10 is equal to the common factor of 6 and 10 is equal to 2. GCD of 6, 15 is equal to 3. Common factor is 3. GCD of 10, 15, 5. So, but their GCD, common GCD 6, 10 and 15 is equal to 1. Now we have the statement of Lamè's theorem. The number of divisions needed to compute GCD of AB by the Euclidean algorithm is no more than 5 times the number of decimal digits in B, where A greater than or equal to B greater than or equal to 2. You don't have to learn the proof, only statement is required. This is the Lamè's theorem. We are already know that how to compute GCD using Euclidean algorithm. This is the division needed, the number of divisions needed to compute GCD of AB by the Euclidean algorithm is no more than 5 times the number of decimal digits in B, where A greater than or equal to B greater than or equal to 2. That much all for today.